Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? Got a few people I can see joining, some still coming in, so we'll let people arrive. Fantastic. Yeah, just give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear us okay. The meeting is going to be recorded and transcribed anyway, so recording will be available after the session for everybody. If people do want to jump on camera or speak, then that's absolutely fine. I don't think we've restricted audio. If we have, we'll open up audio through the call. Cool. So just to get a show of hands or just type into the chat, how many of you have used AI agents before or are aware of the concept of agents? So let's get a show of hands or just type yes into the chat or something if you've used or if you've heard of agents before. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And also, let's keep hands up if you've used platforms like NA10 or Relevance AI or those types of things before, then keep your hands raised. If you haven't, then you can drop your hand. Okay, cool. And for anyone that's if you can all drop your hands now. And who's seen the last couple of sessions that we've done? Have anyone attended any of the sessions we've done before, or is this a first time? So if you've attended before, just throw up your hand just to get a view of those that have attended before. Awesome stuff. And you guys are a quiet bunch. I'm not teasing you into talking yet. But where are you all joining from today? Just if you don't want to talk, just put your locations into the chat just to get an idea of where people are joining from today. Oh, Batley! We've got Zulfikar representing Batley in the north of England. We've got Pakistan, Sweden, Bristol, Birmingham, London, Glasgow. Awesome. We've already got a really wide mix, so that's looking really good. Right, so we'll crack straight in. So thank you very much, everybody. Hopefully this will be a useful session for you all. I'm going to show some concepts around AI agents. I'm not going to assume any technical knowledge for the call. So hopefully I'll try to avoid getting too technical. However, throughout the session, if you guys have got questions, then please feel free to put them into the chat. If you want to mention something while I'm showing something, then feel free, raise your hand. I'm more than open to having people jump on mic or camera and question or ask anything. Um, Anything that's too technical for the majority of the people on the call, then I will probably ask for us to take that conversation offline. But if there's anything that kind of matches the flow, then more than happy to discuss as we move forward. So, AI agents and what am I going to be doing today? So hopefully over the next 53 minutes or so, we're going to build at least one agent. Secretly, I'm planning on showing two because I want to show a couple of platforms, especially because there's been a lot of demand around NA10. So I do want to show some guys some stuff around that as well. However, we'll at least go for one. So the whole idea is we'll do some idea canvassing really quickly over the next minute or so to get ideas for agents. I want to try and do something that may include voice. So, we'll try and do something that can call out. So, maybe something like lead qualification or something like that. So if you have ideas that you want to see today, sunny Watford, sunny. It's 14 degrees here in Birmingham where I am, so I'm glad someone's got some sun, or either that or you're being sarcastic and it's as cold as it is here in Brum. So if you've got ideas for what you'd like to see today, then start putting them into the chat. I don't have a planned agent that I'm going to build. I've built some agents for different people before, and we've obviously through my experience, but I'm more than happy to kind of take this as people want to see it. So if you've got some ideas of what you'd like to see or an agent you'd like to see, then if you can just start populating that into the chat, please. And if you just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen okay, and then I'll start to show the platform and we'll get moving.
We can see your screen, Elias. Hey.
Awesome. Hey, how's it going? Thank you
all right?
very much. I'm doing well. Thank you. Okay, I'm not seeing any ideas. Come on, guys. What would you like to see me build today? What would be an agent you'd like to see? Or you can just talk if you want to just say what you've either seen before or seen other people do. I'm conscious I've got an hour, so there's limits to what I can build in that time, but I'm more than happy to have a go.
I have a quick suggestion.
Go on.
I've seen a bunch of shorts on Instagram and TikTok of like
Mhm.
what I've understood it to be is like
Mhm.
when you call a number that voice agent talks to you and schedules an appointment, but I'm not sure if it's exactly that. But if you could make something like
Okay,
that, that's pretty
something
cool.
that with something that phones and schedule appointments. Okay, okay.
Uh,
Oh, someone
li-
wants go on.
Yeah, linking to sales, Ilias, right? So, because you built a
Uh-huh.
CRM previously, didn't you? So maybe
Yes,
something linked to telephone and then sales, lead generation, because I think there's a lead generation idea in the chat as well from someone. So maybe
perfect.
something like that.
Awesome. All right, so let's get cracking then. Let's take that idea forward. And as people throw in ideas, and I'm more than happy to ebb and flow, we'll keep this very agile. So the platform I've got on screen is a platform called Relevance AI. It's one of a few different platforms you can use for vibe coding an agent, and just for the uninitiated, vibe coding is literally vibing with the code. What we're going to do on this call, where we've got an idea, we're moving forward, and we're ebbing and flowing, hopefully using natural language and human language, and not any techie tools. I'm not a developer by trade. I'm an architect, so I do design and build solutions. But I understand code, but I'm not someone that sits there and codes. So hopefully that will be an experience for a lot of people around the call in terms of being non-technical. However, for those that are on the call that are more of a development nature, then they will get ideas for other things that they can do. So Relevance and AI is a platform that I like to use because it's self-contained. So in the chat, and someone mentioned NA10, which is a tool I will hopefully show, but that's a lot more. I would describe it as broken out. You're assembling the component parts, and it does assume a little bit more technical knowledge. So not what I would call a vibe coding platform. However, what I am going to show you is how you can actually vibe code with NA10. And so when I do switch to NA10, I will be vibe coding, and I'm not going to sit there by hand and build it all out. I'm going to show you how you quickly and easily do that sort of stuff. But for starting off, Relevance AI is quite cool because you can describe the task, and you can get an agent to build it. So if we're going to go lead generation, then what I will probably do then is I'm going to build quickly and lovable an interface we can use to send leads in, so we can act it as a pretend CRM system or something a lead is coming from. And then let's have an agent that actually calls and qualifies that conversation. So what we'll do then is let's describe our agent. So the only technical part of this that I'll mention is because I'm going to be linking something and asking something to call this agent. So, maybe coming from a CRM system, or, maybe some sort of lead that, for those estate agents, it might be coming from an estate management platform like a Zoopla or something. It might be from a salesperson. It might be coming off your website. It might be a lead directly off your website, or it might be an incoming feed. You might have partners that send in leads, or let's imagine there's a system that kind of gets leads and gets some really basic information, and then we want to qualify. So I'll vibe code both the bit that's going to send us information, and then hopefully what that means is that you guys can fill it in, send in your phone numbers, and we can get this AI agent to hopefully call you guys and qualify your leads. So let's go for that. In order to do that, what the only technical part I'll mention is there's a concept of a web hook, which basically lets one system call another and say, hey, I've got some stuff. So we'll get our CRM to just call our agent and say, hey, I've got some stuff, and then the agent will pick up from there. So when I've shown this before, we have talked about prompt engineering and kind of using things like Claude and OpenAI for your prompts. I'm going to keep it simplistic because I'm already kind of used to some prompt concepts. So let's put that in here. So um, agent will be for lead qualification. It will receive a webhook call with details of the lead. It should take the phone number and call the person to qualify the lead. We are a what type of business are we? We'll come back to that. We are a type of business and would like to understand the following about the lead. Let's just say we're an IT company. We would like to understand the following about the lead. What do we want to understand? So we want to understand what the requirement is in more detail. So ask about the requirement. So I'm going to assume we'll send in some requirement. Let's see if we can get it quite complex to go. Time frame they have for implementing the requirement any budget that's already assigned. Okay. Once the call is qualified, the agent will save the information to a let's see if I can spin up a database for this, but let's say to a data store. Okay, so all I'm doing is typing into the invent box in here what I want my agent to do. Now, important thing to understand about an agent, what have I put together in this prompt? I need the agent to understand the context of what it's working. So if you think about, I almost think about this as a job description for a human, right? So what is it that I want you to do? Well, I'm going to give you a lead, and then what I want you to do is, how I want you to handle the information, what areas of qualification I want you to do. So, the detail there, and then what do I want you to do afterwards? So kind of giving it that complete picture of how I want this agent to behave. The parts of an agent that's important for you to be aware of is the agent has an ability to interact. So the way that this is going to interact at the moment is we're gonna give it voice capability so it can phone out, hopefully, and it's got stuff that it will do during that. So at this point, I could, this is asking questions, but I could get it to get some information from a website. So what I might say is. Review their requirement against, and I could put maybe like a frequently asked questions page or something that I have online. So I could get the agent to check some information. I might have a database where I've got other information and stuff. So, we can come back and augment our agent afterwards. But for now, let's just keep it for that lead qualification. So what is it that I want it to do? Right now, the only thing I want it to do is qualify. So I'm going to be asking questions. I could ask it to do things. I could ask it to go and check diaries, but we can do that sort of complex stuff in a moment once we get the basics up and running. So I'm going to hit start. What that's going to do now is, if you've seen Relevance before, or when I demoed Relevance Day One, a really quick agent, then it's going to break that requirement down into what the agent's instructions need to be in more detail. So it's going to take what I've given it and expand that out. It's going to decide what tools the agent needs, if any. So if I'd said it needs to go and get information from websites, or it needs to go check a calendar or those types of things, then it will add tools to my agent. And I can always add tools at any point when I'm changing or configuring my agent. And it will also have memory built in. So with Relevance, it already kind of keeps a log of the chat and everything like that. If I'm building in something like NA10 and you've added an agent, you'll notice it has a memory that you can add onto it, which we'll see when we get onto there. So what it's done is it's given it an agent name, a description. It's created the agent instructions, or suggested, and it's suggested the knowledge that it has. So agent name. In brief, what the task is that the agent does: receives leads via webhook, call the leads to qualify, and saves info via a data store. And it's crafted the agent for me. So we've got our lead qualifier agent. I can accept the suggestions here, or I could just ask if I needed to make any changes. Now it's going to start to add tools in as we move forward. So it's going to start to connect to different accounts. So it wants to store some data, and typically Relevance uses Airtable. So I've got one of those connected here. Otherwise, I could just click add an account, and it would just quite simply allow me to add that. Again, depending on what tools I add in. I can also add knowledge to my agent, so I can teach it. So if I wanted to, at this point, add files or link to websites, as I mentioned, I could do that. So I could say import website, type in my URL. And again, if I'd already put this in the instruction, it would have known this beforehand. I can give my name, I can give the website URL, and it will crawl through links on the website up to 5 layers deep. So let's just say, let's give it some information here and just say HTTPS, just to show you how this works. And I'm just going to want it to import text. So I'm going to say import website. Whoops. Import website. And so what it does is it puts that knowledge together, and quite easily I can now add that to my agent if I want to, or I can make it search this information. So really easy to be able to do that and add that in. I could add files in, etc., etc. Otherwise, away I can go. What it's done is it's created my agent, Quinn the lead qualifier, and it's given, this is how it's taken the information I gave it and built out a path of instructions, because an agent is different to a standard automation in which that you have to literally talk about every single step. You're giving it information and it's able to understand that information to do the right things. What I'm also going to do is now to enable the phone number on this, I'm going to click advanced here at the bottom, and in my agent mode, I'm going to say it's a phone call agent. So this is now going to enable this agent to do phone calls. So I click in and I choose how my agent will talk when it phones you guys to qualify the leads. And in terms of, yes, the pricing, we'll talk about stuff like that as well. Relevance AI is actually quite cost effective because it bundles everything together and does it in the concept of credits. When we get to running it, we'll see how much each conversation is literally costing us. So I'm going to say, hi, I'm Quinn from Cloud Surge. Let's go with that. I'm Quinn from Cloud Surge, just calling to let's make it a bit more thingy. Do you have a moment to discuss your recent inquiry? Right. Now, what I can do as well in relevance, and you'll see this in other platforms as well, you can choose things like, are you going to allow the user to interrupt, or are you going to let the agent continue through its conversation, etc. More important thing for me right now is let's select a phone number. Relevance has two options. Twilio is a common platform that a lot of people use for phone numbers and SMS and those types of things, and messaging of various different types. So if you do use that, you can pull that in. Otherwise, I'm just going to go with a relevance number, and I've got three options here. I'm going to choose a UK number, and it will automatically generate that for me. Okay, now it gives me a few other options. I can choose a voice. So 11 Labs is what it allows here, and I can choose which voice model I want to use. And again, you can look at the 11 Labs website to choose and have more look at what these voices are. But let's just go with a random voice for now, and we can always refine it. Let's go with Drew. Voice language is going to be English, but you can notice I can get my agent to speak many different languages, and different platforms will have different languages that it will enable. Another cool thing is a lot of agent tools will allow you to do things like background sounds for phone agents as well. So that's like when you're talking to the agent, you'll hear like them typing away and stuff like that. So let's just add that in. And through testing, I can increase or decrease my voice speed. Of course, when we're building this for real for ourselves, we would test through and adjust these things and get the voice right and, speed and all of that. For the purposes of today, let's just get an agent working and talking to people. It will also do transcription. And again, different platforms will have different providers for transcription and different models and languages that you can transcribe in. So again, if you're expecting to talk to people in different languages, then that's quite useful. And you can denoise as well, so that it's a lot clearer on the transcript. The challenge with denoising is if someone's talking really quietly, or they while they're talking, they blur some of their words together, then it can mess up your transcript. But that option is there. And you can also allow the agent to end the call when it's appropriate. So sometimes, again, if someone's kind of just blurting out stuff, or they put the phone to the side and stuff, you can allow the agent to end the call. For the purpose of this, we'll just do it manually. Voicemail detection, quite cool, because if you switch that on, then you can put what you want it to say when it's detected that it's actually talking to a voicemail, so it can leave a message. Not going to bother for that for now. And audio recording, it will allow me to record the call as well. I'm going to enable this as well, which is a nice summary. And so what it will do is it will generate call summaries, and you notice it is actually generated a prompt for the call summarizer. So and this follows actually a lot of what I talk about in terms of the three C's, right? Context, character, and command. So the character here is your skilled summarizer. The context here is given a call transcript. Your task is condense and only the summary, and the command is condense the key points into a brief summary. So it's got a nice prompt that it's generated for me here. We've now got a phone number. We've now got the basic set up, and we'll say that the agent speaks first with the message that I provided. Awesome. And so now we have the foundations. I may now need to tweak my agent because I'm not going to use VAPI to make the phone call. I'm going to make the phone call. So you will call the person from the lead. And I'm just going to put something specific, including the phone number to call. And the rest, it's fine. It's going to save some information for me. Again, I could make this save anywhere. I could create a database, a Google spreadsheet, back into a CRM system, wherever that is. I could make that do that. I'm just going to check. Okay, so it's going to introduce itself. It's going to ask open-ended questions, establish a time frame. So it's actually, taken those few points I gave it, it has expanded it out. And you notice things like this, right? Ask open-ended questions. This is quite powerful because if you're doing what old school automation used to be, then, and if anyone's built chatbots before using that style, then you're literally creating the conversation step by step, and then the person will say this, and then you could say this, and here's how you branch. None of that. This is all using AI agents. Again, I can choose a specific model, so I can choose which specific AI model I want to use. I'm just going to stick to relevances, cost optimized, so it's just going to choose the best one for what I want to do. And you'll notice it does give the credit usage information here as well. Again, not something I'm going to go into detail for this call because depending on what platform you use, they have different costs. N8N is interesting if we come to that. Okay, cool. So we've got qualification steps, expected lead input format. This is going to be useful. I will copy this and I will tell relevance, Lovable this for the quick form I'll create to send in leads. And it's got the sample phrases. And this is quite good because one of the other things that's useful for AI agents, especially when you're building them for real, is how you want it to tell the person to hold on a minute and stuff to feel more natural. So you can suggest wordings and phrasings and stuff that you want it to use, and it will stick to that. And again, a lot of this is through testing. When you get an agent live, you won't just make it live straight away. You'll test it, you'll refine it and stuff like that. And again, the way that it's going to store the information, it's got that there. I could just put this into ChatGPT and say, here's a format for storing information. I want to add this, this, and this, and it will just give me this structure back, which is called JSON, which is just a structure for using for configuration and other things. And then final instructions. Maintain a professional tone. Okay, cool. And you can see it's added that knowledge cloud surge in there as well. So let's save the agent. And one of the things I want to do is let's come over to here and let's open Lovable. Okay, I need a portal that allows me to demo a lead qualification agent. The portal needs to allow me to store lead information from the user. The output format to a webhook call will be that. And when a lead is submitted, we should have a dashboard that allows me to call the agent, which makes the webhook call. So what I basically want is we're going to have a portal, enter our lead information on there, save that, and we've got a dashboard that allows me to just basically tell the agent to send that in. So let's create that. And as Lovable creates that, I'll just take a moment if anyone's got any questions or anything that they want to ask while Lovable is creating this aspect of it. So any questions or anything anyone wants to ask while we're looking at that. Just going to connect that to a database. Yeah, why this stack? Okay, cool. Lead generation test, generate. And for those that saw me do the CRM system, they would have known this before, otherwise watch that demo. All I'm doing is I'm connecting a database to my Lovable so that it's able to store information.
So what you've done, you created the backend in Relevance AI, and you made the front end in Lovable, and you're going to connect it up.
Yes, in essence, yes.
Is that better than doing the front end and the back end on one agent? Like, for
So,
example, doing it on Replit or all on Lovable.
so the reason I've chosen to do this way is an agent, in essence, is someone or a robot that's doing tasks. So you need a way of triggering your agent. I could have just done it as a true phone-in agent, but this way is better for demoing because I can get more of you to put in phone numbers and it can just phone out multiple people at the same time as well. But normally you'd have something that's then calling an agent. A lot of agents will be triggered by something happening. So normally this is something happening in another system, it's something happening on a website, it's something happening in a database, it's something happening because a user's done something. There's normally a trigger that causes it. And so this is just a lot more kind of in line with that side of things. Hence why I chose to do well, I've just decided to do a front end on it.
Thank you.
Um, Ash was asking about reason why you've used this stack over others. So when you say stack, are you talking specifically about Relevance AI and Lovable or
Yeah, I mean, Salam Ilyas, first of
Salam?
all. Um, so there are many, many different platforms these days. You've got Lindy, for instance, that's pretty much natural language,
Yeah.
and it's been touted as one of the leaders in creating agents and applications by natural language. Then you got N8N, then you got things like Relevance that you showing us. Then there's other ones as well. There's another one, Mind or something. Mind, I can't
Yes.
remember. Yes, there's another one. So essentially, when you're starting out, and I've been doing a lot of research on these, is that ultimately they all promise. I was going to write a LinkedIn post actually,
Hmm.
and it's like if you remember the old DAS adverts
Yeah.
where the things are white and white all the time,
Yeah.
and after 20 years of watching these adverts, they're still getting whiter. How whiter can they be?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, is there, from a marketing point of view, and also from actually testing these as well? You've
Yeah.
probably done this already. It'd be great to get your analysis and your opinions on this if you have any.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So nowadays, I have to be honest, for building, we tend to stick to NA10 or then other more code or pro code platforms simply because of the flexibility on what we can do. So in a professional setting, NA10 or similar tools are what we're
Yeah,
using. In a front end setting where people want to build stuff for themselves, then a lot of the time, Lindy's a popular one. Relevance is also used. There's a few other ones. Um, there's no particular reason why I've used Relevance other than it's just a platform I've used a few times, demoed a few times. It's nice and easy to demo. But you're quite right. There are a number of platforms out there. Our team do have a list internally that they kind of keep up to date and they kind of prioritize and which ones they like. But NA10 by far is the most powerful in what you can
yeah,
do holistically, especially when you want to do a lot more and from a cost profile, which I'll talk about in a moment as well.
yeah. Because there's a steep learning curve with N8N as well, isn't there? With the flexibility, that's what scares people who are not technical per se.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so let's let's go back to it. So we've got this now, and relevance has less of a learning curve as well. It's Lindy does similarly as well. Uh, Phone number. Let's put that in 71673. Blah 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 at blah blah blah.com. I want an AI agent, please. Submit lead. Okay, is that working? Have we got stuff on our dashboard? Okay, that's working, call agents. So we've got our basic dashboard functioning. What I'll do is I'll publish this so you guys can throw in leads as we go. Let's grab the link for that. Let's copy that. Let's paste that into the chat. You might need to give it a few seconds to obviously finish publishing, but then it should work. Don't click the other. Someone's going to click it anyway, but I haven't told it what the webhook is yet, so it can't actually call the agent. It knows it's got to call one, but that won't work yet. So we come back to Relevance AI, and Relevance AI has this concept of triggers. So how is the agent going to be triggered? And our agent expects to receive a phone number to call from its triggers. So let's add our trigger. And the trigger we want is, you can just, and this is what I mentioned about, typically an agent is firing off the back of something. You could be triggering off a Telegram message, WhatsApp message, an email, you can think of the context, internal Slack messages or Teams messages, so many stuff. I'm going to go with a webhook. I'm going to call it a lead gen test webhook. I'm not going to bother giving it a description. It says my web URL is secret. Do not share. No problem. I won't share. And let's come back to here, Lovable, and say the webhook URL you need to call when a user clicks call agent is that. Okay, so that's going to do that. It's obviously going to give me security warnings because this is all public and stuff, and I've not put logins or anything, or so it's just throwing up some warnings. I'm not bothered for the purposes of this demo. Okay, so now it's going to update that, and it's going to fix it so that it's going to call our trigger, and it's saying the message template for the agent to pass in from the webhook, i.e. how is the what's going to be passed in. For now, I'm not going to bother. It just gives me this thing I can put in. It says leave blank or use that to include the full document. So I can put this in or just leave it blank. Otherwise, for those that are more technical, you could be very specific about what's coming in. I'm not going to do threading. So this is where you could use it linked to other threads and other conversations. I can choose how many, what my working hours are for this to be enabled. Again, not stuff I'm bothered about for today. That's all up. I now have my trigger. So I have my webhook. I can pause it anytime. I can trigger it. I can edit it if I want to change the name or any of the details. So if we go back to Lovable now, oh, and it's got an internal error. Are you okay?
That's when it starts getting messy.
Yeah. Is the edge function finished? And just for those, I'm just copying what it said. It says I'm updating an edge function. So I'm saying, well, have you finished that? For those more technical, then of course, what it's doing is in the background, it's just creating some code on a database that's going to do that. So let's see if that can finish that. And then I'll be able to publish that. Okay, it's going to put the actual webhook URL in. Awesome. And then we can test the agent. What I can also do is in the front end, I can also run the agent. So I can give it a phone number and additional context. So if I just test it out, 245716673, project for a CRM. Call. Then what it will do is hopefully it will call my number and I can test the agent. Oh, phone calls coming in.
Hi, I'm Quinn from Cloud Surge. Do you have a moment to discuss your recent inquiry?
So, okay, so I'm just going to hang up. And you can see it's just creating a copy here of what's happening. So it's building the timeline. Great. So I know my agent actually works and it will call out. Let's see if we go back to Lovable now. Let's publish the update. So we don't care about security. Who cares about security? And but by the way, this is important when you're building real things. Don't ignore those messages. And if you don't understand them, get someone to help you that does understand them. Because if you're building stuff that you are going to publish live, we are making one system call another system. There are security implications. So don't ignore warnings. Okay, Cool. So that's published. If I refresh, then I've got my lead form, I've got my dashboard. Okay, I can see a couple in there. Let's see if it works. Let me try calling mine. Failed to call the agent. Why? Why did you fail? Getting an error, failed to call the agent. Why are you not calling my agent? And just while that, I'll get it to Joe, I'll get it to phone you in a test scenario anyway. Let's do a new chat. There's that number in. Call, and then hopefully we'll see if that call goes through. Okay, the webhook call, so it looks correct. It's running on 404. Okay. It thinks it's fixed itself. Let's try again. Still getting an error. The agent webhook URL is, let's just make sure it's got the URL correct. Is it a 404? Nope. That relevance trigger. Whoops. Webhook. Okay, let me just see. Relevance might be having a problem.
I've come across these problems so many times, Elias, and then
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
like, I need a developer.
yeah. This is where we'd get a bit down and dirty with it, but try clicking it again. Now it's going to add logs. Okay, check the logs. Joe, did you get a phone call, by the way, from the agent? Because if the lovable part doesn't work, I can still trigger the agent manually so that at least we can test through the agent. Or if anyone wants to put your phone numbers in the chat while we try and get the portal working, and then at least I can get the agent to call you and we can check it's doing its qualification, okay? Because all the portal would have done is thrown it your phone number with the details, so we can pass it that manually for the purposes of now. Okay, let's do Ash there. Ash wants to know about complex fintech setups. I don't know if you do, but you will now, apparently. And what's happening as well under the hood is if I just duplicate this tab a bit, all of the different phone calls for all the different things happening, I can see. So the phone call with Joe, there we go. So this is the phone call with Ash happening right now. And if you are getting a phone call, if you throw your numbers in there, if a few more people can throw their phone numbers in, and then we can just test the agent for you, and then you can see how it's working. So we can see that it's Quinn's asking, hello, is this Ash?
Process works in real time, correct?
That is correct.
I'm happy to. Thank you for clarifying, Ash. Is this a good time to proceed with your IT requirements? Discussion regarding complex fintech setups. If so, I'd love to understand what challenges you're currently facing or any specific needs you have related to your fintech environment. Could you tell me a bit more about your goals or the issues you'd like our support with?
Shall I carry on, Elias, answering questions?
Yeah, go on. You can test it out, ask it different stuff like you were talking to a human.
Cool. Yeah, not fintech actually, but CRM, please.
to your CRRM needs. To get started, could you share a bit about what you're hoping to achieve with your CRM system? Are there any specific challenges you're facing with your current setup? Or
So straight
key
away, you can
features
see,
you
for
want to
example,
make
on this,
sure are
what we might want to do is increase the tempo of the voice. We might want to change because we might not like the
You,
audio and stuff, right? So
what do you know about Microsoft Dynamics?
Ash? Microsoft Dynamics is a suite of powerful CRM and ERP applications designed to help businesses manage customer relationships, sales, marketing, and operations, all in one place. Dynamics 365 in particular is highly customizable and integrates well with other
so you can see,
Microsoft
like, as
services.
an agent,
Like,
kind of what it's doing
Can
is
you
like,
speak faster?
absolutely, Ash. I can adjust my speaking pace. Happy to speak faster if that suits you better.
Thank you.
Continue since you're very welcome, Ash. If you'd like, I can keep the conversation at this pace. Would you like to discuss anything
and so
specific about Microsoft
you
Dynamics
you guys
CRM?
get the point, right?
For
So
example,
if you have a look here on the screen, right? So we can see Zacchaeus calls happening in the background there as well. We can see the answers coming through. We can see the discussions he's having. If we look at the automation inquiry call, then okay, I don't think Nazrul answered, or maybe that call hasn't gone through yet. And the Ash call that's happening, then we'll be able to see all of that. Now after the call, it does lag a little bit, so I might need to refresh. But what will happen is, after the call, it will save the transcript for me, it will save all of the information, and therefore I've got all of that detail now ready. So you can see for that CRM setup, the call I tested earlier, I can download the recording, I can download the transcript, meaning I can now do other things with it. But also, I can see credits used for that call. So for each of the calls that are happening, this one's running. Once it's completed, what we'll be able to see is how many credits that call actually used. And the credits are a combination of everything that it's doing, right? So I can see the call here, that's used a lot of credits, 1,084, and I can break it down and I can see what it's actually used the credits for, which is interesting. That's an interesting base run cost there, considering Joe's call didn't go through. Joe, did you get a phone call? No, that's a fake phone number. That's why it's probably gone to some weird premium line. Thanks for trolling me, Joe. So, okay, great. We can see, for example, Zacchaeus calls completed. We can see how many credits used. So when you look at kind of how many credits you have and stuff like that, like it gives you about 10,000 per month in a £20 kind of subscription. I can download the transcripts and stuff. And what I should hopefully also be able to see is that hopefully been storing all of that information in my database in the background. Do I have my Airtable? Is it set up on this account? So look. I might not have it in this. I might have it in a different one. That's fine. Okay, so what have we shown so far? You can use a platform like Relevance or these agent building platforms to quickly build an agent. You can give it a trigger based on almost anything. I did a custom one, which Lovable, thank you, Lovable, let me down humongously on. Will it still do it now? No. Okay, fine. Either Lovable or Relevance let me down on it. But you can see that triggers can be from absolutely anything. Based on a trigger, I could have a standard agent that just does stuff and then goes back. But the cool thing is I can do phone modes on agents as well, which enables them to talk and have phone conversations. And what a good platform will do is generate a really good detailed set of instructions for your agent. And within those instructions, typically you are able to add more tools. So for example, if I wanted to add a tool here saying that during the call, if there's an opportunity to book a meeting, find a slot from here, and I could now give it a tool and I can select the tool. So for example, if I come into tools here, I can add a tool and I can say, what tool do I want to have? And this is what my agent can do. So at the moment, all we really did is made it save some information, right? I can make it search for information online. And you notice Ash asked it a weird question, but it because of the AI model, it already had some of that information. But maybe I need to go and do stuff. So if I, for example, go to calendar, then you'll see that there's various different calendars that I can use. I can check for Google Calendar availability, so I can add that tool in. I can add create Google Calendar events, and if I was using Outlook, I could do that. If maybe I was using Calendly or Zoho Calendars or others, can choose to add my tools in, and then I simply choose which account that tool is going to be connected to, connect it to an account. So if I say sign in with Google, it'll give me that. Let's sign in with that Cloud Surge email address. Let's do that. Relevance, yes, I want to give Relevance access to all my calendar because that sounds like a really safe thing to do. And again, bear this in mind. When you are connecting tools to agents, you'll typically be giving them access to accounts. Just be conscious of that as well, and the fact that you are allowing the agent to create stuff in things and read things. And again, some of those things you just probably want to think carefully about. So I could add different tools, and then once I've got there, I could say find a slot from here, and I can say, okay, I want you to check from here and then book using this tool. So I can now just type out, edit, and change my agent and kind of build things out from there. Or I can ask the inventor if I want to make changes. Maybe I don't want to hand type it. I just want to ask the inventor, okay, change this, change that. I can do that. Or I can just type straight into here because all this is a set of instructions. So that's one agent that's done lead qualification, and hopefully you've seen it can phone out, it can have conversations, and again, you take your time testing this, adjusting the voice and those types of things. But you guys mentioned NA10, and we've got a little bit of time left. Let's see if I can build an NA10 Telegram agent in 10 minutes. I'm only confident because NA10 is actually really powerful and it's got a lot of templates, but it will assume some technical knowledge. So some of your eyes may glaze over at this point when I show some stuff. Any questions around Relevance AI or what I've shown in terms of agents so far? Anyone want to ask or clarify anything? Again, feel free to come off mic or just type into the chat.
Just as a practical instruction. So if you find problems with, for example, Lovable, audio, how would that adjust your workflow?
So on this one, I would just debug it a little bit more. If this is a time-bound session, so I really don't have time to look into why the webhook isn't working. But I would do that. I would investigate why that isn't working. Is it a problem on Relevance? Do I need to tell Relevance I got a problem with something, or do I just need to debug something further in Lovable? So I would, in any problem, go to close to source. I'm calling this thing Lovable, saying this thing is erroring. Is this thing working first? So always try and go close to root. But yeah, I might do a session one day just on kind of deep diving problem analysis while you're building. Any other questions before I quickly move into NA10?
One final question, Elias,
Sure.
is that if you want to embed this into your website or whatever, then you need, let's say it's WordPress, then you just basically use this as a form and basically embed it in there. Is there tools for that, or do you have to kind of know WordPress pretty well?
Yeah, so someone mentioned something right at the start of the call where they said you're building the back end in Relevance and the front end in Lovable, which is a good way to think about this. So if your front end is a website, all you need to decide is at what point is your agent called. So if your agent is a chatbot, more of a chat interface, then there's different ways to embed that. Or if it's just going to be triggered by something happening on the website, then there are other ways to do that. But yes, you'd either adjust your front end, your website, to link in with the agent, and and essentially your website will be talking to the agent and then showing what the agent is saying back to it.
Yeah.
So it would be more of a chat experience it'll be like a chatbot style experience. Or you could integrate, you could integrate voice functionality and capability into your website. And that's becoming more common now, where if you click an agent chatbot, you can just click voice and talk to the agent. And again, there are ways of surfacing that as well.
Thank you.
So let's vibe code an agent in NA. What the hell is NA10, Elias? I hear you guys ask. So NA10 is a way of building agents or automations in essence. So NA10 is a drag and drop automation creator that also allows you to create agents and a whole lot more. So for those that are more technical in the room, you can create MCP servers which tell other agents what tools they can use, and you can do some really, really complex stuff. Why NA10? So NA10 actually is a platform. You can go to na10.io. You can get started for free, and then you can pay for a plan, and you can go on there and create automation. So for those of you that have used other low code automation tools, things like Power Automate or make.com type stuff, then you would have seen this style before. But one of the powerful things about NA10 is it's got a community edition, and you can download it and you can install it on your own server. So anything from installing it onto a spare laptop you've got sitting somewhere for playing about and testing, to storing it on something like AWS or Azure or your other hosting platforms. In fact, some hosting platforms like Hostinger actually just give you NA10 hosting for like 5-6 quid a month, and you can host NA10 on there. What does that mean? Well, see how for Lovable and for Reply and for Relevance, we've had to go to a website where someone else's website that we're logging into, and it's there that the information is stored. This NA10 that I've got here is actually stored on our own internal environment. So we create our own internal users, and this is really, we use it for testing, but you could have this running automations for you inside your office and in your back office, and it's pretty much running for free. It's on your servers, whatever it costs you to run the thing it's landing on, and I think for us it's kind of in the single digits. Then great, you now got an automation platform. I don't need to pay a monthly fee for it. I only need to pay for anything else that I connect to that has costs associated with it. So like, for example, OpenAI or, the ChatGPT brain, I might have it connect to that, or the Claude API, for example, for using that as a brain. Whereas in Relevance, it already had that sort of stuff integrated, and all I was doing was choosing it, and it was going to charge me. In NA10, remember when I said this is or Relevance kind of, and these platforms bring it all together, it splits out a little bit in the fact of just having the automation and running it, or having the agent and running it, is free. But if you're going to connect to anything that does something externally, those external things might have costs, and AI is one of those. But again, API calls or calling AI from another system is not a hugely expensive task for most types of things. Now, this is great. I can create a trigger, so I can say, similar to what I did on my other one, I could say on a webhook call, for example, and it gives me an address here. And so I could do that, or I could trigger it based on me just clicking something manually on something happening on another event, in a schedule, on a form submission, on a chat message, loads of different ways. There's loads of ways that I can trigger an automation. So if I just choose trigger manually, just for the sake of what I'm showing right now, what I can then do is add different things this automation can do. And so this is automation, but it does allow me to, so if I just type agent, I can add an AI agent. So what it will have is, when a chat message is received, I've got an AI agent here, and an agent, as I said, the three things an agent has, it will have a brain, a chat model. So I can choose, well, what am I going to use under the hood? Am I going to use like Anthropic, which is Claude, the Google Gemini, DeepSeek, Ollama, which is again another free one, OpenAI. So I've got freedom to select which AI models I want to use. And again, if you're technically inclined, you might be hosting your AI model locally as well, and that might not be costing you anything either. So this is very flexible. Memory, I can choose how the agent's going to store information. It can just store it internally in NA10, or I can connect it to other data stores. So this is the chat, how it's storing what's happening with it and the conversation while it's doing it. And then similar to what I showed in Relevance, I can give it tools. What are the different tools this agent has? And similar to what we saw, I've literally got everything in here. I can connect to AWS, I can connect to Google, I can do date time stuff, I can connect to Dropbox for files, Google over here for chat and for emails, and Google Drive, Outlook, the whole 9 yards. There's literally most things that you can think about you'll find in here in terms of tools the agent can have access to. And the benefit of that is, as you saw in Relevance, that means I can have my agent do different things in the outside world. And more importantly, the agent decides the best tool for the task based on what it's doing. So this is great. I can come in here and be quite techy and build this up, but oh my God, this seems like a very long task. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Claude. And there is an interesting thing called NA10-MCP. I'm not going to go into the details for this call, but what it means is that I can extend my Claude to understand how NA10 works in terms of all of its nodes and its templates and all of that. All of the documentation of NA10, so it knows how to, literally, it's better than me. It's got like 90 something % documentation coverage for NA10. And now what I can do is now I can, in a custom project I have, and if you look at NA10 MCP, all of this stuff is there. I've got a nice prompt that this thing gives me. I didn't have to type this, that tells Claude how it needs to build workflows. Why is this quite cool? I'll show you. So I want to create an agent that is triggered via a Telegram message. Let's go for Telegram, just because I can create a bot quite quickly for that. Telegram message. The AI agent will use OpenAI as its AI model and will respond back to the user via Telegram. It should support both text and voice messages that can come into it. Voice it should transcribe. Now I could type more into this. I want to give it access to calendars, and I want to do this and that. For now, I just want to show you this as a concept, because let's see what I can do in 3 minutes. So hopefully in 3 minutes I'll have something that I can show you. So what this is now going to do is this is going to start reading the documentation of NA10, is going to look for templates that already exist, and NA10 has there's thousands of templates that people have built and people are building all the time, and it's going to figure all of that out and build something for me. While it's doing that, let's create a bot for here. So I'm just in Telegram here, and for a quick hack, if you have Telegram, if you message the bot father, it will let you create bots. So new bot. I'm going to call it Ilyas Voice Agent Bot. Okay, that's the username I want it to have too. I don't want to do emojis. Ilyas Voice Agent Bot. Cool. And you can see behind me, it's starting to build out information that we can have a look at in a second. So it's got a new bot that I can message, so I can test that out and send it a message and just make sure it works. And what I will do is it's created me an access token that I can use for this. So we have a bot. Let's see if I can pop this out into a new window. Here we go. Right. So we have our bot ready. Ilyas Voice Agent Bot. This is in Telegram. You can literally message this right now if you search for it, but it won't do anything because it's not connected to anything. Okay. This has found the requirements. It's going through it's figured out that it's built an architecture. So what it's done is it's found a template, and it's seen that there's already a Telegram AI bot assistant. It's given me a link to the original template, told me why it's good, and now it's building the actual architecture and building the bot. So what it's told me is that this is how I'm going to build it. This is the architecture I'm going to do. I don't understand any of this right now. So I'll be like, yep, you know what, Claude, you seem to know what you're doing. Obviously, in real life, I would review this. I'd make sure it's comfortable, but you can see really, really powerful for building the agent. So now what it's done is it's got an implementation plan. It knows what it's going to do. It's going to build all of that out. Awesome stuff. And we've got 1 minute, so let's see if we can get this to give me the code. Claude, start clicking. Nope. Oh my gosh. I've stopped. Claude has crashed. That's not good.
It pauses after a certain amount. You have to give it the prompt to carry on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm obviously conscious of time, so I'm going to try and wrap this up quickly. But what this is going to now do is it's actually going to give me an NA10 workflow. So again, I could have customized, tweaked it, all of that sort of stuff. But because I didn't have time to do that, what it's now going to give me, it's going to give me all of this code. And the last thing I will show you guys, you can see it's now creating the prompt for the bar. It's creating all the different bits. And again, you don't have to understand what it's creating here, but this is basically taking all of what I asked it to do and actually turning it to automation. So again, like I said, for those that are less technically inclined, you're already switched off at this point thinking, oh my God, Ilyas, what the hell are you doing? Like this is, I'll never be able to do this. But trust me, you can. It's not actually that difficult. You don't need to necessarily understand the detail of what it's putting together here. Okay, so it's created that for me. I can literally now copy this whole bit of text, go back to NA10. Let me just delete everything I've got here and Control V. No, it didn't work. It didn't work. So what should happen is when I paste this, and I'll tell it it's got an error, it's probably just done something slightly wrong in it because we've just updated our NA10. That will create the workflow. So let me see if I've got another one I can just show you the copy and paste mode from before we wrap this up. Let's do this one. We were creating an integration between Shopify and PayFunnels. So this is a nice one where I can just quickly just copy and paste it in and show you. So that's the workflow. That's the code for it. Copy, come back to NA10, paste, and you get that. You literally get it all created. All I need to now do is click into this stuff, connect it to the Shopify credentials, any different credentials that I might need, and it'll show you nice warnings. So really, really powerful for building out or vibe coding automations in NA10 and getting started. So I do want to still show you, there is a one we made earlier on this one, so I will show you this. So I should have an active Telegram Jeeves bot here. So this is actually using a template that's available directly. So I've just gone and found a template and imported it in. And what this will do is this will trigger off a Telegram message, check if the audio file, if it's an audio file, if it is, it will get the file and transcribe it using OpenAI. Otherwise, it will get the text, give it to the agent. The agent has OpenAI and it has its brain. It can do thinking. It can do calendar access. I could give it other tools and it will reply in Telegram. So let's just quickly open Jeeves bot, open a new window. Here's Jeeves bot. And I'm just going to send it a little voice note. Jeeves bot. Hi Jeeves bot, can you tell me what the weather's like in Birmingham today? And this is just to show you the concept. So you can see here, I'm just showing the execution, so you can see that it's running and that it's now run. And in Telegram, it's come back. I don't have access to the weather, but I can help you with your emails or calendars if you like. Now again, what I could do at this point is add a tool into here for weather. So I could go into here, add a tool and say, for example, weather, and it would have access to Open Weather Map and get the weather information. So hopefully that's given you some concepts that you can take away. Hopefully that's shown you the power of some of the capability. At least we got one agent running, even though we weren't able to trigger it via Lovable. And our second agent, at least I was able to show you what was doable in NA10 using Claude to talk to NA10. If you want to know more about any of the concepts I've shown today, feel free to reach out directly. We do run a little WhatsApp group as well with Velocify builders, just people sharing information and stuff. So I think the email that goes out after this will have a link to that. And the webinar link will be shared for anyone that attended today, so you guys will have access to that. And again, if you have any other questions from your side or anything that you guys want to ask, then I'll open up for the last couple of minutes. I will stay on for the next 5 minutes or so if anyone does want to stay on and ask questions, but we will call the actual webinar to an end, so we'll stop recording at this point. Thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. So like I said,